Okay. Okay, go sit down right there. In the last 60 years, meat consumption has risen 45%. If we were all able to cut back on our meat and dairy intakes, we would drastically be able to help the environment. During this presentation, I will be defending my belief that veganism is good for the environment and has many benefits that will slow the process of climate change. After interviewing all of you, I found that 16 of you agreed with my belief that eating vegan is good for the environment, 2 of you disagreed, and 9 of you were neutral. Throughout this presentation, I hope to open your eyes to the harmful effects of consuming animal-based foods. A big benefit of eating vegan is that it reduces an individual's carbon footprint. I want to start off by explaining how exactly food has an impact on the Earth's carbon emissions, or greenhouse gas production. Greenhouse gas emissions produced by growing, farming, processing, transporting, storing, cooking, and disposing of food are all considered your footprints. In the U.S., the average household produces 48 tons of greenhouse gases. Another large portion that greenhouse gases comes from the livestock agriculture, estimated at producing around half of all man-made emissions. By changing the foods you eat, you can help to decrease your own personal carbon footprint. Studies say that the carbon footprint of a vegetarian diet is half that of a meat eater's diet. A new study suggests that eating vegan is the single biggest way to reduce your environmental impact on the earth. The University of Oxford found that cutting meat and dairy from your diet can reduce an individual's carbon footprint by up to 73%. If the whole population cut meats and dairies from their diet, then farmland could be reduced by 75%, aiding in the agricultural problem I mentioned earlier. To understand how much land that is, I want you all to think of the size of the US, China, Australia, and Europe all combined. If that amount of land was no longer used for livestock, it would revert back to being wild land and help wildlife be more present and help with extinction. A study that included data from 40,000 farms in 119 countries was published in the Journal of Science, found that meat and dairy production is responsible for 60% of agricultural greenhouse gas emissions.
What?
Eating vegan increases the availability of fresh water all over the world. It takes 2,400 gallons of water to produce a single pound of beef from the beginning of production to the end. Livestock drink more water than most other animals, making it that fresh water that could be going towards humans is now going towards livestock. On big farms where there's a lot of livestock, possibly near a water source, the water source that those animals use could be polluted by their feces and just by them eating around it and such. This causes humans in that area to have to find a different fresh water source. On the other hand, to produce a single pound of wheat, it only takes 25 gallons of water from the beginning of production to the end. If the land used for livestock is replaced with plants, we will all have more available plant-based foods and more fresh water and be able to feed more people. I know that living in Zionsville, it might seem like there's an unlimited source of fresh water, but for millions of people around the world, this is not the case. People face scarcity of fresh water due to droughts and mismanagement of fresh water. According to the WWF, there's about 1.1 billion people worldwide who do not have access to fresh water, and a total of 2.7 billion people who find water scarce at least once a month. Many rivers and lakes once safe to drink water are drying up or becoming too polluted to use. This overwhelming problem can be helped by turning our livestock land into land used to farm plants. Against many people's beliefs, eating vegan is very beneficial for your health. If you do veganism the right way, it provides the necessary nutrients we need to keep us healthy. Researchers have found that eating vegan has a lot of health benefits, including lowering your cholesterol, getting more fiber, and avoiding excess sodium. Many people worry that if they go vegan, they will lose the nutrients they get from animal products. It is important for vegans to be mindful of their calcium, protein, and vitamin B12 intakes, but there's always a way to find nutrient substitutes. And because eating vegan is becoming so popular, there are a lot of substitutes you can find at your local grocery store. After watching the Netflix documentary Game Changers, I found a lot of information about how eating vegan is so beneficial for your health. Found that all protein originates in plants, and meat is just another step in the process of getting protein. An example of this is a peanut butter sandwich has the same amount of protein as 3 ounces of meat or 3 eggs. A lot of people have questioned the quality of plant proteins, but the fact is that plants have the same amino acids that meats do. Throughout the documentary, it talks about a lot of very successful athletes who are on plant-based diets, and all of them say that they feel like they have more energy and can gain muscle mass easily. Many of you might remember the boxing match between Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz. Diaz was a 4-1 underdog but came back to beat McGregor. And the difference between the two fighters was that Diaz is on an all plant-based diet. I would highly recommend watching Game Changers on Netflix if you're interested in learning more about the health benefits of eating vegan. With all these points in mind, I would like you all to think about the amount of foods you consume that come in some way from an animal. I know that a vegan lifestyle can be a challenge for us all, but I think that if we are aware of our animal consumption, together we can help the planet and decrease our carbon footprint. Think back to what you voted for during our class survey. For those of you who agreed, I hope to have you more educated on this problem. And for those of you who disagreed, I hope to have swayed your opinion. Thank you.